Welcome to Shiftology Live. I'm your host, Terry Wildemann, and the founder of Shiftology and Intuitive Leadership. This show is where high achieving leaders come to share the real stories behind their most powerful shifts, the pivots, the wake up calls, and the breakthroughs that changed everything. Each episode, we explore what it means to lead with soul, to grow with passion, and to reconnect with the truth in our hearts. Today's guest is someone who I really enjoy, and Sandra Lee is just one of the most amazing people. She did some energy work on me a couple years ago, and it was like, wow. So she's a rock star. Sandra Lee, let me read her bio because it's brilliant. Does disempowering head conversations keep you from taking necessary business actions? Well, it does for some of us. Yes, it does. Sandra Lee is the creator of the Anger Spectrum, a powerful framework for transforming inner conflict into clarity and momentum. She empowers entrepreneurs to turn their relationships into a source of energy and focus, and we all need that. Blending intuitive insight, sound healing. That's what you did on me. Sound healing, NLP, and human design. Sandra helps you align your energy, heal what's strained, and unlock your purpose so your relationship fuels your success. Welcome, 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 Sandra.
Ah, fuel your success. Absolutely.
So,
Hello,
Sandra,
Terry.
tell me all the different things that you've done. What has been the biggest shift that got you to where you are right now?
For over 30 years, I have been working on healing these things, the limiting decisions and beliefs and things like that, and really finding I was still stuck. And that was really frustrating. And then in last fall, I took an NLP class, NLP training, and I was like, oh, finally it's starting to open up. But it still really wasn't getting there. And then past couple of months, I took a different NLP based program and it's really making the difference.
Nice.
So let me tell you some of the things that are really demonstrating to me that this has changed. So before, like even 2 months ago, the prospect of making a mistake was paralyzing. I'd go overwhelmed, crazy, want to quit,
So are you
like
a
nuts.
perfectionist?
Oh, well, yeah, always. But the prospect of making a mistake caused an over the top reaction, like out of proportion to the situation.
Got it.
And as a business owner, Terry, you are having to do things you don't know how to do all the time.
Hmm.
So it was making it really, really hard for me to get anywhere with my business. And so I decided I really have to focus on these things going on in my head. And so I took up, 3 month training. And after that training, after the last week where it was really intense, and I did a full breakthrough during that week, I didn't recognize myself between the beginning of that week and the end of that week.
Hmm.
And I
Wow.
was listening to somebody talk about coaching another
So
person.
let me back up. You
Yeah,
didn't recognize yourself in what way?
I'll tell you one of the ways right now. Okay. So I was listening to Jen coach another person about fear of making a mistake. And I realized that's gone. That paralyzing, overwhelmed, over the top fear of making mistakes, it's gone.
Nice.
Now, it's not like I don't have any concern or fear about making, but the over excessive paralyzing reaction, it's not there anymore.
Brilliant.
And I am still like renegotiating. Okay, so it's like, who am I? What is it I'm doing? But it feels like I'm finally at a place where normal can start to change.
So I'm curious, what tool did you use to get to that place where you didn't feel it anymore?
So it's NLP
Hmm.
that is enhanced with something called root cause coaching,
Hmm.
which is what they teach at Genius Unlocked, the coaching institute that I've been in.
Hmm.
And my experience of NLP was it got me to a certain place, but it really wasn't getting to the bottom.
Right.
With the additions, it's getting to the bottom. And it's actually really changing things. And I was
Nice.
like, oh my goodness. So it's like the people I work with now don't have to do this for 35 years
Right.
to be
Hmm.
able to get results.
And that's
So
so important.
that's part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so important. So, can you share a story of a client without sharing their name that really transformed with your help?
Somebody who I just finished working with came to me and she had been doing counseling and all sorts of things. You know, she's a social worker, had been doing all these things for decades.
Hmm.
And she had a lot of tools, a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, but she was still stuck. She was still like really reluctant to leave home, not really doing any socializing. And at work, she was taking a lot of things personally. So she was really feeling limitations from the stuff from her history. And even at home, she found herself in this place of having a hard time, like letting herself receive the love and support of her husband and her children.
Mm.
So I was doing this, breakthrough NLP series with her, and she started flying right away. Because Terry, when somebody is ready,
Yeah, they're ready.
they just need just the right support, and then they fly.
That's true.
So really quickly, she started improving just with doing the root cause coaching, helping her identify what was going on, connecting pieces together. She was already relating better with her husband, communicating
Nice.
better with her kids,
Nice.
and already starting to sleep better. And
Brilliant.
then we started doing the actual timeline therapy where you go and you actually release stuff because it was clear to
Mhm.
me that she was clear about things, but she still had all of the stuff.
Right.
She
So
needed to do
clear
the,
in the practical head, but not clear in the emotional side.
yes, she needed to do the actual releasing.
Yeah.
So when we did the first working on the major incident, series of incidents that happened in her childhood,
Hmm.
massive release. And her husband's in a networking group that I go to. And her husband came to the networking group and stood up and gave a testimonial. Said, "Thank you, Sandra, for giving me my wife back.
Ah, how cool is
She
that?
was finally able to sleep through the night. Instead of sleeping and then waking up, sleeping, then waking up, sleeping, then waking up, she was able to just be peaceful and just sleep.
Nice.
And she was able to start like receiving the love from her family that had always been there.
Hmm.
And then now that we've actually finished, part of what she said at the end is, she's in a social work situation where there are some pretty difficult situations that they have to deal with. Some really, really difficult situations. And she's responsible for reviewing all the case files. And she said that she can review case files, and yes, there's still things wrong about the things that happened, but she doesn't take it personally anymore.
Nice.
She
Nice.
used to review these case files, and it would just like cause all of these reactions in her because it was activating
Hmm.
all of her own childhood trauma.
Right.
So that's not happening anymore. So it's
Brilliant.
changed her work life, it's changed her family life. She's happier. She's like just relaxed
Hmm.
and able to rest, able to enjoy like being creative and paint and stuff. She's just a different person.
And that's what happens when we release the emotional baggage that lives in our bodies.
Yes.
And that
And
emotional baggage comes from before birth, during birth, after birth.
yep, yep. And in NLP and probably in the work that you do, we talk about how
I
you
do.
can.
I am an NLP practitioner, so I get
Yes.
it.
Okay. Yes. So you can do things consciously, which is counseling, right? And all of the goals set, that's all conscious.
Mhm.
But if you don't pair it with the unconscious,
Yes,
you don't actually release it.
exactly. And do you find that, do you have any clients that have PTSD?
I have some who are dealing with some of that and I haven't gotten through it with them. There's still so much in the trauma that they cancel their appointments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
not ready. Yeah.
Hmm. So I'm curious, Sandra, you've been from when I met you first and
Hmm.
what you're doing now, there is a big shift. So I'm curious from what you were doing before to where you are now, what created that shift? Because I've been watching your journey and it would be fun to have you share with the audience where that journey was because everything you were doing was a little bit different than what you're doing right now.
So let me tell you, Terry, and there may be other people who are watching the show who can relate with this.
And that's why I want you to
Um,
share it.
yes. So a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I found myself in a situation where I need to do something because I'm not able to pay my bills. And so I signed up for some coaching programs, some year long coaching programs. And I was doing things that were what they were telling me I needed to do, but that didn't actually really fit me.
I know that
And
feeling.
yes, and part of the change is that I gave up doing what that expert told me I needed to do and that expert told me I needed to do. And I decided, you know what I want to work on is I want to work on relationships and
Mhm.
people's conversations with each other and with themselves. So now I'm doing my work instead of trying to focus on what other people were telling me to do. And it's funny
Congratulations,
because,
by the way. That's a big deal.
yeah, and all along my message has been you have to be in alignment with what you're doing or it doesn't work.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I wasn't doing it myself. Hello, I have to do what works for me.
Right.
So that's part of it.
And that's a big message and actually why I asked because I know I knew that you had pivoted in one direction and now you're back doing the holistic work that you really love to do. And we're experts on us. And what I find is when we hire coaches, I got various certifications in coaching. The bottom line is that it's about listening to what the client really wants. And it's not just coaches who just live in that practical realm, they're missing what our clients want. And I'm hearing that that's where you were, and they weren't really honoring all of your gifts. Is that true?
Yeah, well, I have come to realize that I don't do very well in big group programs.
Ah, brilliant.
I need a lot of individual work because I have so much stuff from the past that keeps me from taking the action for building the business that I need the one I need the healing.
Hmm.
And the programs I was in didn't provide that.
They were very practical and logical and tactical. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And not even, some of those programs didn't even address the fact that you might have issues that you need to address before you can take these actions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
that is correct because a lot of that's not taught in a lot of the coaching schools that
is not.
which is a big deal. So what you are doing is a service for folks in terms of sharing your story with others. So if there is something that you really, 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 really want to do, please don't drop it because someone who somebody else thinks is an expert um, thinks you should do that. It's about following your heart and following your intuition. It
Yes.
really, really is. Because when you follow your heart and follow your intuition, everything falls into place because you're in alignment, right?
Yeah. Now let me tell you about the body of work that's mine, that I
Yeah,
created.
I
Okay.
want to hear
So
it.
I created a concept called the anger spectrum.
Nice.
So anytime I am having thoughts and feelings that are uncomfortable, difficult, not necessarily anger per
Mm-hmm.
se,
Mm-hmm.
I call those on the anger spectrum.
Okay.
I want us to kind of reframe our relationship with anger Because you know from
Okay.
working with people that a lot of people have a lot of trauma
Yes.
associated with the experience of anger.
Oh, yeah.
They suppressed their anger. They had someone in their history who blew up with anger. And so anger just has this really bad reputation and not supposed to feel anger. So I want to normalize it. And it's part of a spectrum
Yeah.
and it's normal. And when I do that, that enables me to say, okay, where am I on this spectrum?
Hmm.
I am resisting. I am awkward. I am unsure. I am worrying. All of these are on the anger spectrum
Hmm.
as I define it.
Hmm.
And it gives me access to be able to work with wherever I am on that anger spectrum and then choose to shift it
Yeah.
instead of judging it and shutting it down or saying, this isn't allowable, which is what a lot of people's relationship with anger has been.
Hmm.
And so to just have anger and rage be part of this whole spectrum, so I can say, where am I on this spectrum today? Because sometimes I actually do get angry, but I don't get stuck there like I used to.
What you just said, stuck. It's one thing to have anger, but it's a whole other ball game to be
Mm-hmm,
stuck in that anger. When you keep, when you choose, and it is a choice, when you
mm-hmm,
choose to stay in that anger, especially if it's a 24/7 thing, which you and I both know we have people in our world who they're angry all the time. It's affecting and your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, your cells, your bones, your organs, your glands, the fascia within your body, everything gets affected because you're choosing to own the anger versus heal the anger.
embody it.
Yes.
It stores.
It does, it's
It
stored right through the
shapes how your
body.
cells and your tissues form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
I'm
kind
going
of
to get
anger, if you
something.
hold on to it, can create disease.
Yeah. And, you, Terry, know about the other work I
I
do, working
do.
with biofield tuning, right? So it's like when I have that anger stored in my body, the energy flow gets blocked.
Woo, I just felt that. I love it.
So if anybody
That one
watching,
hurts my head. Woo.
this, has blocks, energy stuck in your body,
Hmm.
and if any of it you think might relate to any of these challenging negative emotions I'm talking about, not just anger, but discomfort or stress or anxiety or worry or fear or all these things. So it's like allowing it to move through your
Yeah.
body
Every time you do that, my
and
head goes.
yeah, and allow that stuck emotion energy and the energy that manifests physically, it's like
Yeah.
let it run down to the ground and release so that you don't have to carry it around.
And you have various tuning forks.
Hmm. And I mostly use this one.
What's
Yes.
special about that specific tuning fork?
Um, it's 174 hertz. And it's just the one that I find the most useful.
Hmm.
So they're from biofield tuning because biofield tuning is the modality that I'm trained in. I'm not doing biofield tuning. Just call it biofield tuning. It's biofield tuning done my way. So this just happens to be the one that I use all of the time.
Hmm.
I find it the most universally applicable.
Well, I love like when you did it on me, what was it 2 or 3 years ago? I remember feeling so good afterwards. It was just really wonderful because you were using the biofield tuning your way, Alessandra, and it was pretty. It was very special. I've had it done by other people too, so it's a really good technique because it's vibration, and vibration. We are energy. Everything on the planet is energy. Absolutely everything, the coffee cup, the phone, the lights, the computer, this piece of paper, every single thing is energy. And it will react to those tuning forks. And it's just
Now,
amazing to see how they work.
yeah, now I combine it with my intuitive capacity.
Hmm.
So, something about how this works with me is it increases the intuitive perceptions that
Brilliant.
I pick up, the information I pick up. And if I ask a question, so for example, there's this situation in the person's life or in their business, and I
Mhm.
say, where is that showing up in the body? And it shows me where it is in the body. And it shows me what the emotion or the thought process or the responsibility or the weight is in the body. So the person can consciously make the connection
Yeah,
and then choose to allow it to go back to flowing.
that choice, the power of choice, and we're all born with it.
Power of
Yes.
choice.
So, Sandra, because we're getting close to the end of our time today, can you share the one most special piece of wisdom with the audience that you feel that they would benefit from hearing?
Anytime you get really upset and you feel out of balance, the most valuable and important thing to do is to come back into your body. And the easiest way to do that is to pay attention to a physical sensation. Feeling the weight of your feet on the ground or your body in the chair or to touch. So when you are paying attention to a physical sensation, you can only be now in the present moment. Anytime I'm worrying about the future or the past, I am not present. And when I am not present, my ability to be proactive and take action and make a clear decision is compromised. So if you find yourself in that position, you're upset in this anger spectrum, the fastest, easiest thing to do is just come into your body. Feel physical sensations, feel your weight.
Yeah, I am. Be fully present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That is so special. Thank you so much, Sandra. This has been a very powerful conversation, and I can't thank you enough for sharing your truth, your wisdom, and the shift that brought you on this stage. I really appreciate it. So, audience members, those of you who are listening in, if this episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. What shift is intuitively calling you right now? You don't have to navigate it alone. Subscribe to Shiftology Live on your favorite platform. And if you're ready to connect with your intuition, your purpose, and your inner power, join me in the Prosperity Power Network on Facebook or on LinkedIn. Just look me up, Terry Wildemann. And Sandra, how can people find you?
If you want my free gift, Happy and Harmonious Relationships Worksheet, go to shinewithsandra.com/happy.
Brilliant. I'm Terry Wildemann. Thank you for listening. And until next time, please keep honoring your intuitive heart to your success.
Thank you.